Thanks, everybody. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri. Our next guest you loved on the mic, and now you can see Andy Favreau as the hilarious, lovable, dim-witted brother on the wonderful new comedy created by Mindy Kaling, Champions. Let's take a quick look.
That can't be Vince's kid. He's, how do you say, too spicy looking.
I can't keep this a secret any longer. I had a nephew with an Indian woman.
You know what? I have never felt so betrayed. Not even when my own teammates turned me in for doping at the 2004 Olympics. How else are you supposed to throw a hammer? It's heavy.
How do you think I feel? I just found out my dead best friend has a grandson. Now, how do I break that to him on my monthly visits to his tombstone?
Jimmy, you have a grandson? Congrats.
That's pretty good, Shabazz. Email that to me.
Why would he lie about having a son? I tell you guys everything. For instance, this entire outfit is from the Lost and Found. You think I know the Changs?
Wait, so you guys aren't mad about Michael? You're just mad about the lying?
Yeah, because we're family, and families don't keep secrets, except for in movies, documentaries, Catholic countries, sad plays, and podcasts.
Well, in that case, you should also know that Vince sold the gym, and if we don't raise $5,000 by Monday, we're all out of jobs. Woo! What a relief. Does everyone feel better?
Oh, we sold the gym.
Everybody, please welcome Andy Favreau. Let's hear it. Sir, thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations on an incredibly funny show.
Thank you very much.
A very funny, very original network sitcom, which is very hard to pull off.
No, yeah, it certainly is. I think we were lucky to have Mindy Kaling behind the helm here. So she gave us a story that isn't really on TV. We got a openly gay, biracial, 15-year-old teenager at the forefront of the show, and
amazing.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
JJ Toda. He's incredible.
He
Super.
was
funny.
in that film with Molly Shannon last year.
Yeah.
What was the name of that?
Other People.
Thank you. Great film, but he was phenomenal in it.
He's
I
phenomenal.
remember,
Yeah, I remember being cast in this, and they still hadn't found the kid, and I remember thinking in my head, who's going to play this character, Michael, because it's such an interesting, such a funny and very specific character. I'm like, who's going to do this? And I remember saying, what about that kid that was from that movie, Other People? And then sure enough, like a few days later, he had been cast in this. I was like, great.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Perfect.
I mean, it felt to me when I was watching that it was almost built around him to a certain degree, because there's really nobody else like this. You know, in the way that a sitcom finds a specific comedian or something to build a storyline around.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
So they heard your recommendation.
Yeah, I put it out into the ether, and it just happened. So.
So how did you get cast? Was it an audition? Did they reach out to you? How'd it go?
No, you know, a lot of some people in the show have worked with Mindy before on the Mindy Project, Anders Home and Fortune Feimster, but I've not been in the Mindy Kaling business. I'm a freshman. But
They haze you? How does that go?
Yeah, there's a certain amount of hazing that happens. No, but I just went through the audition process. Which is sometimes long and grueling, and you know they start narrowing it down, and you're starting to get excited about it, and you hope you get it, and sure enough, this one went my way, so I was happy to be a part of it.
I feel like in comedies there are two sort of male roles that are really kind of the most fun roles to play, and it's the super arrogant jerk who isn't self-aware enough to know what people think about them and is always kind of stepping in it.
Yeah.
And then the other one who's like the nicest guy ever, but is also very unself-aware.
Right.
And that's kind of where you're.
Yeah. I think the key to that, you can't just be dim. You know, you got to be dim, but also trying really, really hard. And that's why people love you. So, yeah, I think that's what the Matthew character sort of brings to the table is, you know, he's a complete optimist. He's very happy with where he is in his life right now. He loves his older brother, Vince. He loves his new nephew, who he calls his roommate. And he's basically doing the best he can to make this new family dynamic work for everybody around him.
There's one thing that I kind of love about this show is that it feels like a much more sensitive and I would also say funny take on 2.5 Men.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Someone saw 2.5 Men and was like, let's make this better.
Yeah, much better. Yeah, no, it's interesting too. I mean, we're a show that brings you know, a family comedy in with a workplace comedy as well. You know, I'd say half of our show takes place at the gym that we own, and we have you know, a whole cast of characters that work at that gym, from all different walks of life, different generations, different
Just
races.
awesome,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And, I think a lot of what the show's about is how all these different kinds of people who may appear to be different from one another all share similar wants and needs, and that's what the show explores. And, our similarities far outweigh our differences, and we have a lot of fun figuring those out and helping each other, and it's hilarious.
Do you enjoy playing sort of dim-witted and lovable, like basically having a lot of the jokes in a scene?
Yeah, I mean it's great. I mean, you get those scripts and the jokes for you are fantastic, and that's all you can ask for. I mean, Mindy and Charlie, the other co-creator, are so good at what they do. They've been together from the days of The Office and the Mindy Project. Yeah, so these are pros. These are seasoned veterans. So they write so well for all their actors. So I mean, there's not much effort I have to put into it. I mean, it's just great. I mean, the key is to keep them lovable, and hopefully I've done that with this.
One of the jokes about your character consistently is how ripped he is.
Yeah.
Were you that ripped sort of going into it? Did you audition as a kind of a fit guy?
I try to
A little
stay
more
fit.
than fit,
Yeah.
maybe?
No, I try and stay fit. I mean, to me, it's part of the job. Also calms me down in a way. I
Same.
go to the gym like 4 times a week, and I've been boxing a lot recently, which I feel like you gotta mix it up and keep it interesting, or else
You wear the headgear when you box?
No.
Really?
No, I don't do that. It's more just to stay in shape. Yeah, I'm kind of.
So you're not
I'm
sparring?
not stepping into the ring. No, I'm,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just taking. I'm just hitting the bag. Yeah. I don't want to get hit in the face.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of like, you're an actor. I don't think you can really
Yeah, get hit in
end
the
up
face.
going the Mickey Rourke route that
Yeah,
way.
production gets stalled for like 2 months while I have a broken nose. No, but it keeps it fun, and I think, sometimes going to the gym can be boring as hell. So boxing's been something that's fun, and you can take your stress out on a boxing bag, which is always a blast.
When you got the sides, did it talk about like his physique or anything?
Not really. I mean, it's on the page. We work at a gym, so it's like
He works at a gym though too. And
yeah, but he's kind of a doofus, and I'm more of the trainer, and so it's also a sitcom, so it's like you can get away with stuff, but yeah, I try and stay fit. I think when I booked the part and you realize, you get that realization that, okay, this is going to series and now millions of people are going to be watching me on TV, you start giving a little extra effort at the gym just to make sure.
And some jerk's going to be sitting across from you asking you about your muscles in front of an audience of people.
Yeah, for moments like this, yeah. No, it's tough on set too. I mean, you have catered lunches like every day and craft services, and for some reason, I mean, they give you everything you could want to eat, including like a giant chocolate cake at the end of the line. Yeah. And you just gotta like kind of pretend it's not there and just move past it, or else you're just gonna fall off the wagon.
I'll take another smoothie. Another smoothie.
No, they're unveiling like 3 different kinds of cake and pie, and you're like, do we really all need this food? But
Looking forward to your time off from the show then, so you can kind of eat as much as you want.
Yeah, exactly.
When did you start acting?
I started acting about 6 years ago when I moved to LA. I'm originally from Boston, and
Massachusetts.
Yeah, Massachusetts, and decided to make the move to LA for real and try it for real. I had done a little acting in Boston at the time. I started in background work, doing extra work, and got my union card and moved out to LA to try and pursue it further. It's tough when you first come out. You kind of have no direction. You don't know, who's going to rep me, how you're going to get an audition. You quickly find out you go on your first audition and you see 10 guys that look exactly like you, that have been doing this for years. Some of them are classically trained actors from England or Australia, and you're like, oh boy, okay, this isn't going to be easy.
What was the first big part that you booked?
The first big thing.
It's like the biggest thing, or like a lead on a show. But I guess.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first big thing. I'd say, in the last 2 years, things have started to go really well. I think I got recognized a lot from a couple episodes I did on the Mick, which was watched by a lot of people. So that helped. I had done a string of episodes on this NBC show, Aquarius, which did pretty well. So that's when it started to, kind of get the ball rolling for me.
Was there an audition that you went to, or like a part that you booked, you hadn't really booked anything yet, and you're like, oh, wait, okay, now I'm getting paid to act now?
Yeah, I mean, I always have that feeling. I mean, even if it's a one episode or a full series, at the end of the day, you're like, I can't believe I'm getting paid to do this. This is crazy. I mean, because it's like truly doing what you love, and when it boils down to it, you're essentially just out there having fun with your friends, playing cops and robbers like you did when you were younger. But except this time, you're an adult and you're getting paid for it, which is an added bonus. So it's great. It's great to be able to make a living doing this. That's really all you can ask for, because that's so incredibly hard to get to the point where you can make a living doing it, and you don't have to have that side job or that side hustle.
Your brother's Jon Favreau, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the podcaster.
The podcaster, not the director. Yeah, they get confused.
The podcaster, not the speechwriter.
That's yeah. So yeah, he started writing speeches for President Obama, and he wrote for him for about 6 years while he was a senator and while he was the president. And now he's got a political podcast.
Crooked Media.
Crooked Media is his media company. They have a bunch of podcasts: Pod Save America, Pod Save the World, and they're doing great. They're doing really well.
And they're out in LA with you, right?
Yeah, they're based in LA. Yeah, but they've been doing a bunch of live shows, so they're all across the country now doing live shows.
Older or younger?
He's 3 years older than me.
3 years older than
older
you.
brother. Yeah.
So what was it like when you were doing background work and he was writing speeches for Barack Obama?
Yeah, I know. I mean, what is it still like? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm on this show, which is great, but John was out there like changing the world, writing speeches.
You're on a network sitcom. That's kind of like, for a lot of actors, that's like the best.
It's fantastic. But sometimes I put it in perspective, and it's like, wow. But yeah, no, it's great watching what he's been able to do, and they get such big crowds now at their shows. It's pretty inspiring.
Are you politically engaged yourself, or do you kind of leave that to him?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not as. I mean, I don't know what constitutes politically engaged now. I'm not like on Twitter, picking Twitter fights with people. So I sort of stay away from that.
That's a good way to put it. I don't know what constitutes politically engaged now.
Yeah.
Because it seems like everybody, in some ways, a bit more politically engaged.
I mean, I'm engaged in the sense that I'm current on all the issues. I watch cable news and keep up with my news, and have my own opinions about everything. But
Did you keep up as a guest on the podcast, or do you think you'd kind of?
Sure, I could. Yeah, there's a podcast. One of them they have is Love It or Leave It, which is more comedy based, and that's fun. They do like a live show every Friday night. That would be a fun one to do. But I don't know. I don't like to get too serious about stuff. I leave that up to John, because he's very smart, and he knows a lot about that stuff, which is why he does what he does.
Let's get some questions from our audience. Who has a question?
Hi. So you mentioned before about acting and doing what you love and how lucky you are to do, something that you're so passionate about. Yeah. But if you weren't acting, what would you be doing?
Good question. I thought growing up that I was going to go into law enforcement. That was going to be my thing. And when I got out of graduate school, I got a job working for the state of Massachusetts for unemployment fraud. So that was my first kind of law enforcement job. But I didn't love it, and that's sort of what made me go into acting, because it takes doing the job you think you want to realize you don't want the job you think you want. So, I mean, I was working in a cubicle, and it was kind of like a state job and kind of boring, and I was like, if I'm going to do this for the next 30 years, I might, lose it. So I really wanted a creative outlet, so that's when I started acting. But, years later, now that I'm acting, I kind of realized maybe I just wanted to play a cop on television. It's a lot safer. But, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe I could... personal trainer, something like that, or I don't know. I'm not sure. Now I've been so dialed into acting now, and I think that's the key of being successful in this business, is that you can't really have a plan B, and you can't really think about it. It's just got to be I'm going full steam ahead with this or nothing.
What did working in unemployment fraud look like? What did that entail?
It entailed a lot of paperwork. Yeah, a lot of paperwork. It's basically, similar to insurance fraud. It's like catching people that are collecting unemployment, but also working under the table and collecting money at the same time. That sort of thing. Yeah, a lot of people do it, but it got boring after a while. For me, anyway.
Let's get one more question. What do we have here?
Hey.
You, sir.
If the champions get a second season, who would you like to see guest star?
Oh man, like dream guest star? Yeah. That's a good question. I want to see someone who hasn't really acted before. Like I'd like to see like Tom Brady come on our show. He's like my ultimate.
On your roots there.
Yeah, he's like my ultimate like starstruck person. That would be great. And I know he's hosted SNL a few times and been very funny. So maybe he could come on the show and we could all he could play himself and then I could meet my idol. That would be amazing.
What if he didn't play himself though and played someone else?
That might just be weird because he's too recognizable as himself. We'd just be like, no, you're actually Tom Brady.
Andy, I love the show. Congratulations. It's on NBC's Thursday night at what time?
9:30, right after Will and Grace.
9:30. Guys, tune into the show. It's really great. Andy Favreau, everybody. Let's hear it.
Thanks a lot.